using common law to defend yourself, to defend your rights and protect your freedom. So unfortunately, the Constitution is no longer law of the land. It hasn't been for a long time, if you haven't noticed. So it's the UCC, the Uniform Commercial Code, that is in effect. That was, I forgot the exact year, but it's basically merchant law merchant, that goes back all the way to Babylonian times. You know, it's commercial law. It's all the big corporations, what they love about that stuff. And even big tech and big anything. They love this stuff because they understand it, and we the people do not. This is how the British Empire rose to power with their corporate law. So all the law, the statutory law that we have in the United States, and really in much of the Western countries, is based on commercial law, or statutory law, which is all coming out of the Babylonian merchants' law times, when the merchants were really the ruler of the earth. And again, I think we find ourselves in the same predicament once again. And now we know why, because the UCC is really the law of the land in many, many countries. I don't know about if they use the exact same uniform commercial code in other countries, but definitely here in the United States. But as you can see from the handout, it's contract law too. So contract law, commercial law, all that stuff. When you enter into a contract, you can do so unconditionally or with a condition. By the way, every contract, and it's on the handout too, everything that you sign, I don't care if it's your schools, your child's school enrollment, the check that you're depositing into your bank, everything is ruled and governed by the UCC. So you can sign any device or unit, as they call it in law, unconditionally or with condition. So when you just sign with your name, as you've been doing all your life, you have just waived all your rights and given the other person permission, really, to come after you whenever they feel like it, whenever they feel you have dishonored the contract. And dishonored, these are all words that they use in these, commercial law contracts. And even your government documents, your 1040, your W-4, all of it is UCC. When you sign the way that is on the handout, when you sign without prejudice, UCC 1-308, and then make your signature go into it, so it's baked into your signature, they can't remove it digitally later. Now you are reserving all your rights. What are the rights of an American citizen? Huh? Anyone? Bill of Rights. Exactly. So anyone here got into trouble with the law or with a commercial contract of any sorts, was suspended? Okay, yeah. Probably signed just with your name, right? And you felt this was unfair, they came after you, and maybe they dishonored the contract, and yeah? Am I on the money a little bit? Yeah. Well, it's because you didn't reserve your rights. Because you didn't know, and they don't want you to know because of this exact reason. We've all seen companies say all rights reserved. Why are they doing that? We know why, because it's really hard to sue them. But now you have a way to reserve all of your rights, and they can't do anything about it. Now it gets really hard all of a sudden to come after you. Now they can't just say you dishonored the contract. Now they really have to follow due process, follow procedure, bring up evidence, proof that you dishonored the contract. So now it gets a little trickier for them. And they probably won't deal with it. I give you two quick stories. A friend of mine, he had to show up to court for a parking ticket that he didn't pay during 2020. When he got to the court, on the outside, he wasn't wearing a mask. And the security, they wouldn't let him in. He said, I have a medical condition, I'm not going to go into court with a mask. And so back and forth, they tried to intimidate him, they tried to, make him sign stuff. So he said to the clerk, tell the judge, I will only go into his courtroom under duress with a mask. So the clerk goes in, 10 minutes go by, he comes back out and says, your case is dismissed. Another one, my teacher who really put me onto this, when he was trying to sign his life insurance contract, he used without prejudice 1-308. And they came back to him and said, we can't accept this contract. And they didn't want to tell him why. And he said, why won't you accept this contract? So it went back and forth, and he went up the ranks and finally got to someone who would tell him. And they basically said, look, we can't accept this because it voids the contract. What that means is, when you are reserving your rights, it voids anything in the contract that is against your rights. And a lot of these contracts, they have a lot of crap in that really are against your rights, okay? But here's also one thing under the UCC. Every contract is negotiable, which means you can cross out whatever you do not agree to, put a little signature next to it, okay? And then you sign at the very bottom without prejudice. One last thing, if you want to learn more about the UCC I highly recommend this book. Without Prejudice, Sovereign Covenant. It used to be 207, so this book is still all about 207. Just know that it has now changed to 308. They combined 207 and something else together. So this goes to show this UCC is very much alive and very active. So they're changing stuff here quite frequently. So.
Okay. Tell us what exactly.
The gist of the book, it dives into the UCC, what it is, what it does, and how you can use it to protect yourself against these agencies. Because really, once you protect your rights, these agencies can't just come and ding you for whatever they want. You're putting them on notice saying, look, I know what you're doing. I do not consent to it. I do not partake in it. I reserve my rights. And you have to prove, now they have to prove criminal intent, probable cause, and they have to produce a victim. And then and only then can they come after you, okay?